Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Come on in the room, get comfortable, get settled. Hello. Want to thank you all who are here tonight. I am running a couple minutes late, so let's just take a moment to get settled. Come on in, come on in. Hello, Dulcinea. I'm happy to have you on a Thursday. You're typically here for the Sunday reading, so it's dope to see you here on a Thursday. I'm also running a little late. I didn't even have time to put my sparkling water in a wine glass like I normally do. So hello, everyone. We are here for Astro Hour. Astro Hour is where we come together and talk about the major astrological placements that are going to be taking place in the weeks ahead. And with this being the last full week of March, which is so weird to say out loud. It is so weird to say out loud that this is the last full week of March. It is so weird to understand that next week is April. It is weird to understand for me personally that my birthday is in 3 weeks. That is so strange. 3 weeks is Taurus season and 3 weeks is my birthday. That's crazy. This year is speeding by. But we are here for Astro Hour to talk about the astrological transits that are going to be taking place over the next few weeks. Before we jump into everything, I just want to take a moment to introduce myself. Hello, everyone. I am Soleil. I am the Coven Mother of Vision of Dawntor. I am the founder and the facilitator of the Charm School Mentorship Program. I am your weekly reader, and I'm a dope bitch straight up out of Oakland. So if you've been a member of this channel for a while, or if you stopped by occasionally just to check in on me, whether it's to get information or surveil, whatever it is you're doing, then you know that I go live around 2 to 3 times a week. And one of the consistent readings that I do, so every Sunday we do, oh Lord, I almost burnt my nail. Hold on a second. Do some experiments here because I cannot have my nails burnt off. That was intense. Okay. It's fine. We make a way, right? We will make a way. Every Sunday I go live to do the weekly energy reading. And every Thursday I go live either for happy hour, which is our pop culture geopolitics discussion, or what we're doing tonight, which is Astro Hour. So we're going to be talking about some major astrological transits that are going to be happening. I'm also going to be offering readings to the room for anybody who wants a discounted reading once our discussion is over. But y'all hear this bullshit? Y'all hear this bullshit? Y'all know how I always say nobody ever fucking calls me until I'm on here, right? I promise you. I did have a reading, but that was work that ran over, which is why I was a little late. But in terms of people wanting to talk to me and chat me up, nobody ever calls me until I'm on live. Anyway, so the 2 major astrological transits that I'm going to be talking tonight are first, the full moon in Libra, okay? Literally April 1st. We start off, like April is a month that's not playing with us, okay? We start off the month with a full moon and a full moon in Libra. So we're going to talk about the April 1st full moon in Libra, and then we're going to talk about Mars's entrance into Aries that happens on, I believe, April 9th, if I'm remembering from my notes, okay? And I want to talk about these 2 things because it's interesting. These 2 transits in terms of energy deal with a very polarity, right? And you guys know I talk a lot about polarities when I'm doing astrology, right? So we have this full moon in Libra that's really asking us to consider our relationships, the nature of our relationships, whether or not our relationships are authentic and what we need to shed in order to make them authentic and balanced, right? And then we have Mars entering in Aries. It wants to be in Aries. That's because Mars is ruled by Aries, right? And it's really asking us to think about our individuality, our bravery, our courage, our authenticity, and how we're rooted in it. So these are energies that may seem like they are polar opposites, but they are necessary in terms of us having conversation about how we're showing up in the world as our most balanced and authentic selves, okay? So let's start off with the new moon in Libra first. Sorry, not new moon, the full moon, my apologies. The full moon in Libra first, okay? And so again, with this full moon being in Libra, this is a full, hey, Nicole, good to see you. Hey, Aisha, hey, Tiffany. I'm sorry, I rolled in here a little late, and whenever I'm late, I'm a Taurus. I hate being late. Earth signs do not like to be late. We absolutely hate it because we're very rooted, we're very balanced, and when we're late, it throws us off kilter. So I apologize for not saying hello. That was rude of me. Hello to everyone who is here. As you come into the room, say hi. When you talk to me, I talk back. Shout out to T-Pain, okay? So say hello so that I can say hello to you. Hit those scale emojis so that I know that you are here with me and that you're pouring into me. You are pouring balance into the room. If you are not already subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. We are at 450 subscribers. I would love to get to 500 by my birthday in 3 weeks. That would actually be the dopest birthday gift. If I look up at this channel on April 22nd, April 23rd, and we have 500 subscribers, that would make me deeply, deeply happy. So if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. If you know people that would like this content, please share this channel with them so that they can subscribe, okay? I feel more and more like Miranda from The Devil Wears Prada every day. Anxious about being on time. I can see that. I can see that. I can absolutely see that. So let's get into our conversation about this full moon in Libra, okay? Let's get into it. When we are looking at a full moon in Libra, we are dealing with the themes of balance, truth, boundaries, and relationship karma. And that is because Libra is literally the sign of relationships. It's the sign of partnerships, right? So those of you who've ever gotten any astrological work done with me, if you have Libra placements, especially if your Libra is in your sun, your rising, your Jupiter, or your Venus, you have probably heard me say that you would benefit from going into business with a romantic partner. One of the few signs where that's encouraged, right? And that's because Libra is the sign of partnership, okay? Now, here's the thing. Full moons are about release energetically, right? All of us here should know that by now. When the moon is full, right, it's time for us to release, right? And this is going to be very vulgar, but I had an astrology teacher explain it to me this way before. When the tummy is full, what do we need to do? We need to shit, right? We need to release. We need to expel. We need to make room. That's literally what a full moon is about. What is it that we are holding on to that is toxic, that is trash, that we no longer need, that needs to be expelled? That's what full moons are about. So when we have a full moon that's in Libra, this is not just a time about reveling in our relationships. It's not a time for surface level conversations around balance. The full moon in Libra serves as a reality check around who we are and how we show up in our relationships. Are we engaging in a whole bunch of people pleasing? Are we being inauthentic? Are we bringing the balance to our relationships that we wish to receive? Those are all things we should be thinking about. And if we're not doing those, or if we're engaging in habits that are in contradiction to that energy, the full moon in Libra is asking us to release those habits and let go of those blockages and those barriers, okay? Libra deals with balance, and the full moon is asking us, balance for who? Are we seeking balance for ourselves? Are we seeking balance in order to be stable in our relationships? Or are we trying to engage in performativity that makes us appear balanced? Because unfortunately, love Libras down, that is something that Libras can suffer with, is inauthenticity, right? That people pleasing that makes them show up in ways that are not true to themselves, right? We're looking at the axis of the self versus others when the full moon is in Libra. Where have we overextended ourselves in order to maintain connection? Where are we overgiving? Where are we ignoring our own needs and desires? Where are we putting our morals on the back burner, right? Causing us to publicly be in alignment with someone or with a mindset that we are privately in disagreement with, right? Those are all things that the full moon in Libra are going to bring to the forefront, okay? This moon is going to reveal something, and it's going to reveal something about our authenticity and how we show up in relationships, okay? Here's the challenge. Once this full moon in Libra reveals whatever it has to show us, we can no longer unsee it, right? What are we pretending not to know? That's a question of the full moon in Libra. And whatever is forced into our sight, we can no longer pretend that we don't see it, okay? So I want us to dig deeper into what we understand and how we talk about Libra, right? I think there's a thing that happens with Libra being one of the Venusian signs that whenever we talk about Libra, we just get wrapped up in the prettiness of it, right? Because Libras are beautiful. They are symmetrical as fuck. Libras are pretty, pretty people. But when we deal with Libra, we're not just talking about love and romance and aesthetics, right? Libras can be much deeper than that. We don't give them credit for it, but they can be much deeper than that, right? Libra is about agreement, about contractual agreements. That's why we understand it as the sign of partnership, right? And when we look at Libra as a sign of partnership, we need to go beyond romance, right? How are we treating our business partnerships? The people that we call best friends, that's a partnership, right? So Libra is about agreement. Leela. I keep doing that. Who the fuck is Leela and why are they talking about me? Libra is also representative of fairness, right? So when you look at the symbols that represent all the zodiacs, we all have a symbol, right? Every zodiac sign has a symbol, and the scales are the symbol for Libra. And that's because it represents the need to seek balance, right? So Libras are about fairness. That's why they don't just take forever to make a decision because they're Venusian and the feminine. No. They take forever to make decisions because they care so deeply about being fair. They care very, very deeply about making the right decisions, right? Libras care about justice. And so when we deal with the astrological energy of not Libra, right? We are looking at fairness. We are looking at issues around mutual exchange. What are the social contracts we are a part of? Whether they are ones that are written in stone, literally written with pen and paper, or just social contracts that we engage in based off of our presence, right? My presence is a present. I can think about that every time I talk about social contracts because your presence is a social contract. What you pay attention to is an agreement. What you water grows. Those are all things that Libra understand very intimately and very intuitively, right? Libra is a sign of this is what we agreed to, whether it's spoken or unspoken, right? I don't know if you guys have Libras in your life or if you have Libra placements. I have a lot of Libras in my life. And they have a deep understanding that, again, their presence is a present. Their presence is an agreement, right? And some of them will even tell you if you're asking them for permission or if you're making sure that they're okay with something, they'll tell you, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't in agreement, right? Leave me smooth, clean the fuck alone. Nobody ever calls me until I'm on this live, right? So Libra is very much about what you agree to. and what your agreements say about you, right? Emotional agreements. Are you being supported? And how do you support the people around you? That's something you really need to take inventory of and pay attention to when the full moon goes into Libra on April 1st, right? Also paying attention to your energetic agreements. What do you pour into? Who do you pour into? Right? Those are all things that are really important to pay attention to. Where are there unspoken expectations in your life? And why are those expectations unspoken? And what do you need to do? What do you need to consider around those expectations, right? Let's take a couple of minutes to remind ourselves why full moons are important and why they matter, right? I mentioned earlier, and I was being silly when I was like, yeah, when you're full, you need to poop, and it's about expelling things. But low-key, that's true. That's very, very true, right? Full moons represent culmination. They represent exposure. They also represent illumination, remembering that the moon is a dark, watery place, right? And when it's at its fullness, it's at its most brightest, right? So when the moon is full, this is when things come to light. Things come to light and are exposed to us in a way that we typically don't see it very clearly, right? We think that the sun is about exposure. No, the sun is so bright and beautiful, we don't even see it clearly. Did y'all know that the sun is white? The sun is white. It's white. We see it as yellow because it shines so brightly that by the time the rays in the atmosphere pick it up, it gets translated as yellow. Think about that. It shines so brightly that you literally can't see it right. The sun is white. It's the moon that illuminates. Because there's a particular type of illumination that happens in darkness that we don't understand fully, right? Think about how clearly you can see something when it's on a black background, okay? So the moon is about illumination, and that illumination causes exposure. So again, things are going to come to the light when the moon is full. Your emotions are going to be at a peak when the moon is full. You'll be forced to confront truths that are undeniable when the moon is full, okay? Full moons show us what we have actually been able to grow as a result of the seeds we planted during the new moon, right? Whenever I'm doing a 30-day working with a client or a student, I always remind them that 14, 15-day period is where you should stop and be able to take inventory of what you've been working on. You'll be able to see what you've grown so far as a result of whatever seed you planted, right? Remembering that the moon moves in a 28-day cycle, right? So in Libra, when the moon is full in Libra, the truths about our relationships, who we are in relationship, the health of our relationship, the authenticity of our relationships, all of those things will get illuminated, okay? This is a time where we are forced to confront our relationships as mirrors, right? And I have these conversations a lot with people, especially people that I'm doing love readings with. People say I attract the same type of person all the time. Okay, why is that happening? That person is a reflection of something going on in you. So you can project and you can look outward all you want to, and you can blame all you want to, but that's a reflection, right? Our relationships are mirrors. So Libra is teaching us through reflection about other people. It's teaching us about ourselves through our relationships with other people. The people in our life right now are there to show us something about ourselves, right? I make this joke all the time. All my godchildren are anxious overworkers. Godmommy is an anxious overworker. So half the time when I'm yelling at them about having too much on their plate, I'm really talking to myself, because guess who has too much on their plate? Guess who is overworking as a form of avoidance, right? So your relationships are reflections. The people in your life are there to show you something you need to work on, and something that once you heal in you, you can either help them heal in themselves, or honestly, low key, attract people that reflect that healed version of you, right? So your relationships are going to mirror things in your life right now, and it's really important you pay attention to them, right? And some of the things that might be mirrored to you with the full moon being in Libra are some of the shadows of Libra, right? Where do you have a lack of boundaries? How do you show up when you fear being alone? Are you a person that fears being alone? Because that's a shadow aspect of Libra. That's why they will acquiesce and accept anything, because they don't want to be by themselves, right? Do you have an overgiving nature, and how is that causing complications in your life? Don't be surprised if that gets shown and revealed to you while the full moon is in Libra. Where do you struggle with the desire to be chosen? I was watching an astrologer recently, and she said every Libra has a little bit of pick-me in them. And it's funny because I have a really close Libra friend, and I could actually hear her being like, that ain't true, that's not me. But, you know, that need to overgive because you want to be liked, that is a little bit of pick-me energy, right? So where do you have a deep desire to be chosen? And how does that desire to be chosen make you show up in the world? Are you engaging in acts of self-betrayal? Are you throwing other people under the bus because you want to be chosen over them? Those are all things that the full moon in Libra is going to highlight, because they want you to release those bad habits, right? Sometimes the problem isn't just who you choose, is what you tolerate in order for them to choose you or for you to be chosen, right? And that's really, really important. In romantic love, I was cheated on, so I feel undesirable and inadequate. I didn't know you have Libra. I know I read your, have I ever read your natal chart, Lucinia? I didn't know you had Libra placements. Where's your Libra? So I want you guys to sit with that, what I just said, a little bit, because we're going to talk a little bit more about the shadow aspects of Libra. Now, when we get to Mars and Aries, we're going to talk about the shadow aspects of Aries too, right? I am a shadow work priestess. So I don't let people get away with only talking about the desirable parts of them, right? I'm a Taurus, and I talk shit about Tauruses all the time. So everybody got to hear their light and their dark when they work with me, okay? But let's look at some of the shadow aspects of Libra. And another reason why we want to look at the shadow aspects of Libra, because the full moons in general, are there to teach you about where you need to do your shadow work, right? And if you don't know what your shadow is, you can't work on it, okay? So let's talk about some of the shadow aspects of Libra. We're going to go through it one by one. The very first one, and the very common one, the one that people always point to, is the people pleasing. Libras are natural people pleasers, and they will people please themselves into their own deficit. A good example of this is Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars is a Libra, okay? At one point, Bruno Mars was employing every single one of his siblings, every brother, every sister, right? And that sounds beautiful on the surface, but if you're employing people just because they're family and you feel guilty and they ain't got no fucking skill set, that's a drain on your finances, right? So that people-pleasing tendency can be a really big shadow for Libras and Libra placements, right? They say yes when they mean no, or when they really don't want to do something. And that puts them in a situation where they have a lot of burdens that don't belong to them, don't feel authentic to them. They do a lot of overextending to be liked. Again, they don't want to be alone. They don't want to be disliked. So they will overextend themselves, right? And here's the thing, part of what they need to learn with this people-pleasing shadow is they need to learn the difference between being kind and being compliant. The difference between being kind and being compliant. Because that people-pleasing doesn't really make people like them. It makes people run over them. It doesn't make them like them. So the thing that they're actually seeking is actually pushing, the behavior they're engaging to get closer to something is actually pushing them further away from it. Okay? Another shadow, conflict avoidance. They run from conflict. They really do. They try to avoid hard conversations. They will choose silence or solitude over having to tell the truth, right? Libras are actually very intuitive. The first thing that they think and feel is often the right move, but they will overthink and over-intellectualize and sit on decisions out of fear of hurting other people's feelings, right? And that desire to choose silence or pretend to not know in order to be liked, that's another shadow, right? Peace that requires your silence is not peace. It's not peace. So they have to learn the difference between peace and suppression. That's how that shadow around conflict avoidance shows up. They also deal with a shadow of self-abandonment. They will prioritize, them and Pisces do this terribly, prioritizing the needs of others over their own. There's a tendency for them to shrink in order to maintain a connection, right? A lot of Libra placements will find themselves in relationship with people whom they're loyal to, but that loyalty requires a betrayal of the self, right? So really remembering that any relationship that requires you to betray yourself is not worth it is really, really important, right? And then the final shadow, and there's more than these four, but we got to get to Mars and Aries, okay? The final shadow that I'm going to talk about tonight is imbalance. They're represented in the scales, and people think that because they're represented in the scales that they are naturally balanced. That's not why they represent the scales. Those scales represent the fact that Libras are fighting to find balance. They represent a lived experience or the embodiment of an experience whose life journey is to find and seek balance, right? But one of their shadows is that they deal with a lot of imbalance when they are not in alignment. And that imbalance shows up through one-sided relationships. And it also shows up in emotional labor that is not reciprocated, right? If you are that friend who is always on the phone with somebody until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but you can't find that friend set up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning with when you have a need, right? If you are that friend who, you got a best friend in your life, and if they open an envelope, you're going to hop on a plane to be there to watch them do it, to celebrate them, but you can't remember the last time they even remembered your birthday, that's not only an imbalanced relationship, but you probably got some Libra placements. If you don't have Libra placements, look at your 7th house. There's probably something fucked up going on with your 7th house, okay? But that imbalance shows up through Libras pouring from a cup nobody is helping them fill. And again, because they're conflict avoidant and because they're people pleasers, they're never, I'm not going to say never, they have to train themselves, but they rarely will demand that the people in their life reciprocate and pour into them. Those are all shadow aspects of Libra, okay? So because this full moon is calling us to look at what we need to release so that we can get to balance, right? This full moon is going to be revealing where the areas of our life where we are overgiving, where we're under receiving, where we are not being seen, where we don't feel valued, right? It's going to show us where things feel off where they feel draining, and where they feel confusing. Any friendship you got to guess about, there's probably some overgiving, under-receiving, some undervaluing going on there. Any connection you have that feels draining, there's probably some non-reciprocity happening, right? These are all areas where we got to pay attention. Might even be a Libra degree. I feel like I did your natal chart. We did your natal chart a couple of months ago, Aisha. I don't remember if you have Libra. I remember everybody's sun sign, but I have a hard time remembering everybody else's other aspects. So I don't remember if you have Libra placements or not. But trust your intuition, because under this full moon, if something feels off, it's because it is. It's because it is. Don't ignore it. Don't default to the people pleasing. Don't over excuse it because you want to be convenient. Those are shadow expressions of Libra. Okay? If it feels off, it's because. If that one-sided friendship is really hurting you and it's really at the forefront of your mind, it's because it is one-sided and you need to deal with that, right? Those clients or people in the workplace that when you talk to them, you feel drained. I just had to let a client go last week. Just had to explain to them, look, I love you as a person, but you can't work with me anymore. Why are you yelling at me? I've been giving you the same advice for 3 years, and we're at the point where you're literally paying me for readings to cut me off and yell at me. It's not helping you. You're not getting any better. I can be pulling this energy into somebody else. I'm not that hard up for money. I'm not hard up for money at all. I can get this money somewhere else. You don't get to waste my time and disrespect me just because you pay me. And why is that even a thing you want? Go find somebody else, right? Those coworkers that drain you. You know you're not even being paid extra to be on that team at work. Who the fuck do you think you're impressing? Go ahead and go to your boss and say, look, I don't want to do that side project anymore. I promise you they don't fucking care. You're overpouring into something at work that's straining you. Let it go. Let it go. Also, romantic partners that lack reciprocity. Look, if they wanted to, they would. If they wanted to, they would. They know that you're overgiving. They know that, they need to do more than pay a bill. They know that they need to engage with you. You done went on 3 dates in the last month, and they've said a total of 12 words to you on all 3 dates. They know that they're checked out. Whatever the thing is, you're not imagining it. So confront it, because it's being illuminated in this moon for a reason, right? You're going to have sudden clarity about somebody. You're not making it up. Don't run from it. You're going to feel a need to emotionally detach from something that was draining you. Let it happen. If there's irritability showing up in a relationship, sit with yourself, meditate. Ask yourself why. Go to the ancestors, ask them why. But that irritability is a symptom and is there to teach you something, okay? If you have a desire to pull back or withdraw, if you start to feel grief or disappointment, it's there for a reason. Clarity can feel like loss when you finally see how things are. But let the information teach you what it's there to teach you, okay? This full moon is asking you to make a choice. It's not saying that you necessarily need to leave. It's not telling you to quit your job, but it is saying that you need to see clearly and respond differently so that you can get different results. If you continue overextending yourself, you will stay in imbalance. If you recalibrate and choose yourself, you will bring balance in, right? Balance requires truth. Reciprocity requires boundaries. And some connections may not survive your self-respect. That's okay. If those relationships don't survive your self-respect, it just clears the space for people who are in alignment with you. This is a full moon that really makes Libra confront their fears about being alone and look at the ways in which that fear of being alone forces them into inauthenticity and asks them to think about what the cost of that inauthenticity is. Now, that is full moon in Libra. I spent a little longer on that than I anticipated, but let's talk about Mars and Aries, okay? The full moon in Libra is on April 1st. Mars enters Aries on April 9th. April 9th. And when we deal with Mars energy in general, but specifically when Mars is in Aries, we are dealing with the themes of activation, anger, and the courage to move. When we say that Aries is the sign of the initiator, it is that spark of energy that makes you pick up and move. As Kendrick says, shit don't change till you get up and wash your ass. It is that spark that makes you get up and wash your ass, makes you get up and change your environment, right? This is one of the most important energetic shifts that we will experience in April. Mars in Aries is extremely important. With Mars being the planet of action and Aries being the sign of action, it is at home, right? It wants to be in this sign. So Mars is at home in Aries. We get a pure and undiluted sense of motivation and movement when Mars is in Aries. If things have felt slow, if they felt confusing, if you felt stuck, all that is going to melt away on April 9th when Mars comes into Aries, okay? This is where energy starts to really, really move very, very quickly again, okay? Now, here's the thing. Initiation energy is active. It's passionate. This is not subtle. This is not passive. Now, this is a big shift, right? I want to remind you, Mars is currently in Pisces. And Pisces is passive as fuck. That's why some of you guys may have been feeling tired and may have been feeling like you're dragging ass and may be feeling like you're having a hard time asserting your boundaries. No more of that. No more of that. And after April 9th, when Mars goes into Aries, baby, things are going to pick up, okay? Mars is the engine. It's the engine of the zodiac. And when Mars is in Aries, we have a lot of action. Mars deals with drive. It deals with action. It deals with anger. If you've ever had any astrological work from me, I've told you before, Mars is the planet of war, but it's also the planet of sex. That's why people say the same way that we fight is the same way that we fuck, right? Mars is going to teach you that, okay? Mars is your survival instinct. It's how you go after what you want. Mars is not about what you want. It's how you go after it. What are you going to do to get it? Right? Venus tells you what you want. Venus tells you what you desire, but Mars is going to tell you how you get it. What are you going to do to get what you want? I'm scared of you. I'm scared of you. Scorpio Mars ain't nothing to play with. Scorpio Mars ain't nothing to play with. If you deal with a lot of hesitation, it may be because your Mars is debilitated. You probably have some blockages in your Mars, some retrogrades in your Mars. Get a natal chart reading. If you haven't had a natal chart reading, get one, right? Natal chart readings are very thorough. It's not the same as just going on, I was about to say Etsy. That is not an astrology site. I'm such a Taurus. I just named a retail site. But yeah, you want to get an astrological reading to help you understand whether or not you have any blockages in your Mars, okay? But if your Mars is blocked, you may be somebody that hesitates a lot. If your Mars is unchecked, you can be a person that acts very impulsively, right? That's because, again, Mars is how you go after what you want, right? If you have an Earth Mars, you may be somebody that's very determined but moves slow as fuck. Mars and Taurus. I have a lot of Taurus, right? I move very, very slow, but I'll always get what I want. I always, let me say that again. A bitch always gets what she wants. Mars and Taurus, okay? But this particular transit with Mars in Aries is going to activate everybody's Mars's function, right? So that's why I'm saying either get a natal chart reading. If you've had one, go back and review what came up in your natal chart reading, because again, when Mars enters Aries, you are going to act like your Mars. You are going to start to act very, very much like your Mars after April 9th in almost every area of your life, okay? Now let's specifically look at what the energy of Aries actually is, okay? Aries, it is the first sign, which means it is the initiator. Aries represents the beginning. It's the sun, that I am energy. I am, it's about me, right? Aries is a very instinctual sign. They are not strategic, right? The signs after them are strategic, right? Taurus is very like, I'm taking inventory of the landscape. Gemini is, I'm plotting and I'm trying to figure out what face I need to present to the world. Aries is instinctual. It's all feeling. I don't know if you have, it's funny because I just had a long conversation with my best Aries. Like, I swear, we were supposed to be born into the same family. I don't know how we weren't, but my good Aries friend, Marisa, she embodies so much about Aries energy to me. And even when you talk to her, you feel it come off of her. Her intuition and her instincts are so fucking sharp, right? But Aries are not strategic. They accomplish a lot because they move with their instincts. And a lot of times you get shit done in life, not because you're strategic, because you're the first one there. Because you're not waiting for anybody to tell you shit. You just get up and you go. That's what makes them successful, right? They're also very independent, right? They're not consensus-based people, right? Most Aries placements have to teach themselves to be community-minded because they don't really like to wait for other people's opinions or be hampered down by other people's opinions, right? Aries doesn't wait to be ready. It moves and it figures it out later, right? And again, if you've ever taken tarot classes from me, I always say that about the Knight of Wands. They're going to move, they're going to get some shit done, and then they'll process the feelings and the how it happened and all that shit later, okay? Aries energy is not about perfection. It's about popping some shit off. It's about getting it started. It's about don't talk about it, be about it. It's not a whole lot of time for that. Aries, don't talk about it, be about it. We got shit to do, okay? So when you have an energy that's like that in Mars, this is a time where you get the things you want by being in action, by doing, not overthinking, not wasting time processing feelings. You can have the feelings, right? My friend Marisa, she gonna have her feelings, but she gonna get some shit done at the same time, right? My little sister, I have two younger sisters that are Aries. My little sister Cherise, she gonna have her feelings, and her feelings are gonna be big, but she gonna get the shit done as well, okay? So that's the thing. It's about starting. It's about getting it done. When Mars comes home, because it's exalted in Aries, it wants to be there. It's at home in Aries. When Mars comes home to Aries, this is where we expand, right? Energies speed up, motivation increases, your tolerance for stagnation decreases, right? So again, that relationship where there's no reciprocity, we just talked about that. So think about this. The full moon in Libra is going to reveal the nature of your relationships. And even if you're still fighting what was revealed with the full moon in Libra, by the time Aries or Mars enters Aries, you're not going to be tolerating that bullshit anymore. So the relationships that were non-reciprocal, by the time April 9th rolls around, get that shit out of my way so that I can find people who are in alignment with me, who are going to pour into me. I don't have time for this. Think about how delicious this 10-day period is in terms of how it sets us up for having better in our lives, okay? Your motivation is increasing at the same time that your tolerance for stagnation decreases. No more mediocrity. No more excuses. Nobody holding us back and slowing us down. There's an intolerance for that, right? And that intolerance motivates us to get it out of our lives, all right? People are going to feel a big push to do things and get things done when Mars is in Aries. This is like a turning the ignition after you've been sitting in park for a long time, right? Now, those are the positive aspects. Now, let's talk, because again, every sign has shadow. So at the same time, we have this positive aspect around initiation, getting things done, lack of tolerance for stagnation and things that are slowing us down. Be careful, because you can also be less patient. You can be less patient. That impatience can make you engage in really quick reactions that you regret later, right? You can have strong emotional responses that don't really match the tone and the tenor of an actual situation. Pay attention to that, okay? Now, here's the thing. Anger can be a form of activation, right? Mars is literally connected. It's the planet of war. It's where we hold and process our anger. And even though we love to run from anger, we look down on people who are angry. Anger is a teacher. And when Mars is in Aries, it's a time for you to really engage with your anger in a way that allows you to learn something. What do I mean by that? This is a time where we are called to reframe our relationship with anger completely. That's me right now. Honestly, this wake-up call feels so good as someone who normally has a shy disposition. Hello, Angel. I don't know if we've met before, but thank you for being here tonight. It's good to have you. I can't wait for you to have your wake-up call as a shy person. You may not believe this, but I'm shy. Anytime I say this on this live, people are like, you full of shit. No, I'm shy. I really am. I'm very shy. I've been in organizations for literally years and people don't believe me. Oh, hey, Sylvia, good to see you. Okay. But again, Mars rules anger, but anger is not a problem. Anger is a signal that something is not okay. Think about the things that make you angry, right? They're usually, that anger is there to teach you that something is not all right. What's one of the main reasons why we get angry? Somebody violates our boundaries. If you're angry because somebody violated your boundaries, again, what did we just talk about with the full moon in Libra? If you're angry because somebody violates your boundaries, is the anger the problem or is the violation of the boundary the problem? And are you going to let your desire to be liked be access to gaslight you into believing that you are doing something wrong by having the boundary? Right? That's what Mars in Aries is asking us to think about, okay? Healthy anger shows where boundaries have been crossed. Healthy anger will motivate change. I didn't like the way that felt. I didn't like the way that person fucked with my boundary. I'm going to enforce a consequence for the violation of the boundary. We have a charm school lecture coming up on that because I love y'all down, but I'm fucking tired of y'all talking about my boundaries, my boundaries, my boundaries, and then there's never a consequence for somebody violating your boundaries. So we're going to talk about that, okay? But healthy anger is going to motivate you to change in the face of somebody crossing your boundary, right? Healthy anger is going to motivate you to act. Unhealthy anger is just an explosive reaction, right? You doing a whole bunch of yelling, getting your blood pressure up, getting all musty and shit, and then you never do anything after that. That's unhealthy anger. Unhealthy anger is projection onto other people. Everything is everybody else's fault. Everybody is terrible, right? Unhealthy anger makes you become embittered. And then you just sit around and judge people all day. That's unhealthy anger. Unhealthy anger is basically destruction without any direction or change. That's the difference between healthy anger and unhealthy anger. So Mars in Aries is here to help us tap into our healthy anger, right? Because anger is not here to destroy our life. It's here to show us where we've been tolerating too much and highlight what it is we need to do to change it, okay? I want to talk about the shadow side of Mars just a little bit longer. We'll probably got 10 more minutes going, and then I'll start taking questions from the audience. I know I'm talking a lot, but I have a lot to get through because, again, this polarity between the full moon in Libra and the Mars in Aries, if we can use it right, this is a really delicious and fruitful time for us to have some significant change this spring so we can go into summer on our hot girl shit, on our boss bitch shit, okay? Now, here's the thing. With the shadow side of Aries, this transit can bring a lot of impulsive decision-making, unnecessary conflict, right? Because that is a shadow aspect of Aries. They'll just fight because they like to fight. And then they'll fight about shit that they don't care about. I had an Aries in my life. I don't talk to her anymore because she's nuts. This is not my best friend, Marisa. This is not my sister. This is another Aries from like a decade ago. I had to stop fucking with her because she would do this all the time. She would start fights with people and it would fight you down, argue you down. And then at the end of the fight, she'd be like, well, I didn't even care about that. And it's like, bitch, you almost got punched in the face. What was the point of even starting that fight, right? But that's a shadow aspect of Aries, fighting just for the sake of fighting just because they can, right? And that's a domination thing. So be careful about stuff like that. But another shadow aspect of Aries is that they can be very ego-driven in their reactions, right? So instead of thinking about an appropriate reaction, they're reacting based off of what's going to make them look good or what's going to make them appear powerful in the moment, right? Be careful about that. Aries can start a lot of shit and not finish it. Again, it's the initiator. It's not the finisher. So be careful about starting a whole bunch of things and just leaving a trail of unfinished tasks, right? Also be careful about burning bridges too quickly. Again, that impulsivity and that tendency to fight for the sake of fighting can have you have a fallout with somebody and burn a bridge that you actually need, that was actually there to help you towards something, right? So just be careful about that. Movement without direction can create a lot more chaos than being still. So yes, let the movement of Mars and Aries motivate you to make change, but make sure that that change is not impulsive. Make sure that that change is not ego-driven. Make sure that you're not just taking on fights for no reason. Oh, this is about to be a really bomb-ass time for you, Sylvia. This is about to be a really delicious transit for you. The whole month of April and the whole month of May is about to be dope as fuck for you. You're about to make a lot of progress. I can't wait to hear about it. Please keep me updated. You know I'm nosy. But yeah, you want to be careful about quitting things out of frustration without a plan, right? Don't just quit your job because everybody there gets on your nerves when you know you ain't got nowhere else to go. You know you ain't got no other stream of income, right? Don't snap at people because you're upset. Communicate clearly, right? The anger is not an excuse to be inarticulate and to be vicious. You still need to communicate clearly. So snapping at people, going off on people just because you want to feel like a big bad, what does that do, right? Be careful about acting out of ego instead of truth. That's moving in the debilitated, the stagnated shadow energy of Aries, not the powerful energy, right? But there's some powerful psychological shifts with this placement. It really is. So just be prepared for that as well, right? This placement, this transit of Mars and Aries is going to expose the areas of life where you fear taking initiation, right? Where you fear rejection. I love y'all down. I'm not going to put nobody on blast, but it's some of y'all who are out here way too cute to not be dating. But because you have a fear of rejection, because you have a fear that what you like isn't going to like you back, you don't even try romantically, right? Don't be surprised if that gets highlighted once Mars goes into Aries, right? It's also going to highlight the areas of life where you fear standing alone. So don't be surprised, okay? Some of you aren't stuck. You're just avoiding the moment where you have to move first. You don't want to make the first move. You don't want to reach out to that person you know that would be perfect to start that business opportunity with. You don't want to let your neighbor know that you think they're cute. Stop sitting on the sidelines of your own life. That's what Mars in Aries is about. This transit is asking you to take initiative, to make decisions, to act on your ideas. Stop fantasizing. That escapist bullshit that we've been doing for the last month and a half while Mars was in Pisces, there's no more space for that. No more escaping through your daydreaming. Everything you daydreamed about, you got to act on while Mars is in Aries. Stop waiting for validation. This is a time of action. Get it done. Don't wait for people to encourage you. Get it done, and then maybe people will clap for you after, but even if they don't clap, who gives a fuck? You got it done, right? Start the thing, send the message, set the boundary, take the risk. Those are all things we should be doing while Mars is in Aries. This is a fire energy. Fire is about doing the work, not just praying about it. I have this conversation. You guys know I run rituals. I have this conversation with people in rituals all the time. Okay, you did the prayers, you did the meditations. Now it's time for the action. What are you going to do to help the dream come into your reality? How are you going to move? How are you going to move? Right? This transit is about action, but it's about aligned action. Not reaction, not impulse, but action. You already know what you need to do. Mars in Aries is removing your ability to ignore what you need to do. Again, what are you pretending not to know, right? So instead of asking what should you do, ask yourself, why haven't you done it yet? What's holding you back from doing it? What's the fear? Conquer that fear and get it done, okay? So that is the full moon in Libra. That is Mars in Aries. Those are the two major transits that are going to be coming up over the next 2 weeks. I hope that this conversation and discussion was helpful. I am now ready to take questions from the audience. I have two spreads. One that is specifically telling you about the wisdom you need to know about yourself for Mars in Aries. Another that tells you the wisdom you need to know for yourself with the full moon in Libra. I'm happy to do readings on either one of those for anyone who wants either one. And, also if you want a general question, that's fine too. But if you want either of those readings, go ahead and send your love offering to my Cash App or my PayPal, both of which are scrolling below. And just write full moon or Mars in Aries, whichever one it is you want, in the comments. And then I will go ahead and read for you. While you are sending your Cash Apps, and while you are choosing what question you want, I'll go ahead and update you on a couple of things. I currently still have, for the month of March, the reading specials were the Ancestral Life Path reading, the Pathways Activation Session, and the Gold and Shadows Financial Health reading. All of those are on sale for $85. Those will continue to be on sale until the 31st. So the 31st is your last day to book those readings at the discounted price of $85. After April 1st, they will go back up to their original prices. So there's still time to book those if you're interested in getting a one-on-one reading with me at a discount. We are going to be starting the Pathways to Power road opening ritual on Monday, April 30th, and the deadline to sign up for that is Saturday, March 28th. I'm already in April. My head already in April, child. But Pathways to Power is March 30th through April 3rd. And the deadline to sign up is March 28th. If you are still interested in participating in that ritual, there's about 2 days left to sign up. join the WhatsApp link below so that you can get more information about the road opening ritual and join us for that, okay? I am still accepting people into my mentorship program. So if you are interested in joining a hoodoo-based mentorship program, please go ahead and click the link for the Charm School intake group to learn more. If you know that you would like to further your spiritual education, but you may not be ready for mentorship, join my Patreon. I do 1 hour classes every few weeks on my Patreon, okay? I'm trying to get back into doing the readings, the sign, the earth, moon, whatever, the elemental signs readings, because I did fall off with that once the new year started, and I'm going to be easing back into that for the month of April. But if you want exclusive readings, exclusive classes, just specialty information in general, join my Patreon. Anyone at any of the paid tiers gets access to my live classes. Anyone who pays at friendship level or higher gets access to all of the course replays, okay? All right. So I see Dulcinea sent in an offering. Thank you, Dulcinea. So we have Dulcinea. Can I send another offering for an Aries? Yeah, you can send the offering, an offering for both, and then I'll do both. So we have Dulcinea, we have Aisha, and then I feel like there was one more person. Hold on a second. We'll start with Dulcinea, then we'll do Aisha. And then Nicole. Dulcinea, Aisha, and then Nicole. In that order. If there's anyone else, go ahead and send in your offerings, and I will take care of you as well. So we're going to start with Dulcinea for the full moon reading. And then we'll do her Mars reading. Sorry if I seem a little distracted. If y'all know about Georgia and the pollen out here, spring is a beautiful time, but it's also a painful time. So I didn't even have allergies until I moved out here, child. Okay, so this is the Libra full moon reading. This is about restoring the scales. This is going to let you know where you are out of alignment in your relationships and what you need to do to get in alignment. Okay, Dulcinea? The love reading. The love reading. You mean the Libra, the full moon Libra reading, Sylvia? It's $11.11. I'm doing a full moon reading and Aries, Mars and Aries reading tonight. There's no love specific reading tonight. And any reading that's based on the astrological conversation is $11.11. Sisters, angels, ascended master spirits will walk with me. What is the full moon in Libra trying to teach Dulcinea about her relationships? How and in what areas are her relationships out of alignment? What is the full moon going to help her understand that will allow her to bring alignment to her relationships? Any wisdom shared? I'm going to let this one fall because it flipped over. Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. It's a 3-card reading. I was about to go ahead and give a full spread, child. We would have been here all night. I'm going to save the card that fell out for last because I think it's really important. Where are you out of alignment with your relationships? 7 of Cups. There's a tendency to almost be so emotionally overwhelmed. 7 of Cups in terms of relationship is a card of love bombing. I'm not going to lie. It's love bombing. It's like people can come on really, really strong for you, and you get so wrapped up in the chemistry of those initial interactions that it's not until you're deep in it and you start to realize, like, oh, this motherfucker's crazy. Or, oh, this person is not, they didn't really give me their full selves in the beginning, right? It's not until you're too deep in that you realize you kind of got finagled, right? So there is a need to kind of slow down and to prioritize compatibility over chemistry in your relationships. Now, here's the thing. I'm not just talking about the romantic ones. I'm talking about all of your relationships, because this can happen in your friendship relationships and also with colleagues as well, right? What truth have you been avoiding or softening? How much people have hurt you, right? How much time you spend ruminating and sticking in the past. Like, there are some people in your life that you have verbally said you've forgiven and you really haven't, right? Because you still hold on and ruminate over the ways in which they have hurt or betrayed you, right? Or your tendency to overgive with them has caused you pain. You minimize that a lot. What action restores balance and self-respect? I love this. 7 of Pentacles. You got to move more slowly with people. Make people earn your trust. Make people earn your love, right? Make them plant seeds and make investments in you. I see now why the King of Pentacles fell out, right? And I love that the King of Pentacles is represented by the tortoise, and it's literally slow and steady wins the race. I get my wealth, I get my bounty, I get what I deserve by being very determined and deliberate. Short-term sacrifice for long-term gain kind of energy. Because what I'm seeing here and what the full moon in Libra is trying to teach you is that, and again, it's not just romance. You let people move too fast with you. You let people move too fast with you. You let them ride out on chemistry. And you end up giving them a lot of loyalty based on that chemistry, but that loyalty doesn't often get reciprocated. And there's a cycle of heartbreak that keeps bringing you. But if you make people earn your loyalty, if you make them earn your love, if you make them put investment in you, you will definitely get a different result, okay? Dulcinea, let me know if that resonated with you. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and do your Mars and Aries reading. Now, this is about where you need to ignite and move things in your life, Dulcinea. Are you still here, baby? You haven't said anything in a minute. Let me know if you're still here, Dulcinea. Ancestors, angels, ascended master spirits that walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Dulcinea need about Mars's transit into Aries? What will the energy of Mars in Aries teach her, especially about action, motivation, and how she goes after what she wants? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay, good. I'm glad that resonated with you. You know what? I don't think it. Yeah, I know it's my allergies because of the pollen, but I think this candle I bought, I'm having some sort of allergic thing to it. I think it stinks, and I think that's why it's getting irritating. So I need to light this other candle because I know that I can handle the smell of this one. See, on some shallow Taurus shit, I bought this just because the container was cute, and it's bothering me. All right. Where are you being called to take action right now? There's an area of your life, and Spirit is not telling me the specific area of life this is happening in, but there is an area of life where you do a lot of over-explaining, and you got to stop that. You got to give yourself permission to move a little bit more stealthy, move a little bit more strategically. You don't have to justify yourself to people, right? A lot of the times when the 7 of Swords comes up in terms of personal energy, which this is personal energy related to Mars, you got to be a little bit more stealthy, right? And I feel like what Spirit is saying is that you feel that the over explaining is a form of vulnerability, but it low key sets you up for people to play with you. So be a little bit more stealthy, be a little bit more mysterious, be a little bit more, you're not being manipulative by being stealthy. You're not. And even if you were, so fuck what, right? There's just a little bit more strategy that needs to go into how you move. And it's specifically strategy around keeping your movements or your motivations closer to your chest. You don't really need to over explain things to people like that. What is blocking or delaying your action? I think there's a part of you that feels like you won't receive blessings or people won't pour into you if they don't know your motivations are all your business, right? With the Ace of Pentacles being a card of promotion, it's like you feel like if people don't understand every single intention you have or every motivation behind your actions, that they won't pour into you or that you'll miss out on an opportunity. But that's not necessarily true, right? And I know you're probably sick of hearing me saying this phrase, but over-explaining is a form of begging. And the over-explaining of your actions isn't landing on people in the way that you think it is. What aligned action should you take to move forward now? Seven of Cups. This is the second time we've gotten the Seven of Cups with you. You saw me shuffle, so you know I shuffle. The Seven of Cups is coming up because you need to slow down. In general, when it comes to how you connect with people, the tendency to over-explain, you gotta slow down, right? Because again, when you have people around you who may not have the best intentions, and their intentions aren't about you, it's about them and their character. A lot of times that over-explaining and oversharing can lead to them manipulating you based off of your emotions, right? If somebody knows that you really, really care about a particular thing, they will lead with that, even though their intention is something later, but you don't figure it out till further down the line, right? So you got to be comfortable with slowing down and really evaluating a person's actions before you reveal everything about yourself to them and over-explain yourself to them. That made you cry? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. I hope it was like a revelatory cry where you got clarity. That had to do with friendship. Oh, okay, that's why I made you cry. Grown up mean girls. That's all I can tell you. Like I wish we as women need to treat each other better and do better. But I cannot tell you how many times I have crossed paths with women who think it's okay to mistreat other women out of their own fear of being hurt. And it sounds like you may have crossed paths with a lot of women in your life who behave that way. And I just want to say that I'm sorry, Dulcinea. I'm sorry that has happened to you because you deserve better. But I hope the readings were helpful. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. All right. We got Aisha next. I'm gonna check in on you after the live, baby. I hope that's okay. I'm gonna check in on you once we're off of here. Okay, Dulcinea? All right, Aisha, you're next. So we're gonna do the full moon and the Mars and Aries, and then after that we'll do Nicole. And then after that, we'll do Sylvia. I'm gonna turn my camera off. All right, Aisha. We're gonna start with the full moon in Libra. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits to walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What is the full moon in Libra teaching, Aisha? about the nature of her relationships. What does she need to release? And what does she need to learn in order to bring alignment into her relationships? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. If there is anyone else out there that would like a full moon reading or a Mars and Aries reading, send your love offering to my Cash App or my PayPal, both of which are scrolling below, and I will do your reading. I will put you in the queue. We have Aisha, then Nicole, then Sylvia, and then whoever is after that, okay? Okay. So in the first card, which talks about where are you out of alignment with your relationships, we have the Knight of Wands. You are the doer. You do a lot. You do a lot for people. You rush in with a lot of fire and a lot of energy to be the problem solver, to be the fixer, to be the protector, right? And here's the thing, that sounds beautiful, and it is beautiful, but if that is solely your role, that's causing a lot of a lack of alignment, because A, not only does it position other people to not have to solve their own problems, it B, puts you in a position where nobody shows up to do this for you ever, and also C, after a while, the same exact people that you're constantly helping become resentful of your position, right? I have this conversation all the time with clients in relationship readings. Like, you are upset that you did all this caring for this guy and now this guy left you. And that's because when you baby a grown person, the appreciation will spoil into resentment very, very quickly, right? And I don't think this is necessarily in your romantic relationship, Aisha. I think it's in other relationships in your life where this is happening. Now, in the position of what truth have you been avoiding or softening? You have been softening and avoiding the fact that you could use a little bit of help, right? Six of Pentacles is the card of charity, and you could use some help yourself. I think you have gotten so used to being the lender. And when I say lender, I don't even mean necessarily financially. You've gotten so used to being the protector, being the person that rushes in and helps, that you are, even though you could benefit from some support, because we all can, you're low-key a little bit uncomfortable with admitting that you could use help. You're uncomfortable with being the receiver, right? So that is a truth that you got to stop avoiding, right? I think you hide behind what you associate as a power of being in this, to the point where you are almost in self-denial about the fact that you would love it if somebody could pour into you for a little bit. And there's nothing with wanting that. There's nothing wrong with having that. You don't have to always be the person that gives the charity. It could be great if somebody gave you a little charity, right? In the position of the action that restores balance and self-respect, it's simple. Admit that you're tired. Admit that you're tired and admit it unapologetically, right? The wounded warrior, somebody who, yeah, they're resilient, but at a certain point, that resiliency is going to wear out. Your spirits are low-key warning you about potential emotional burnout from always being the person that supports and protects and takes care of other people. It's literally around the corner, right? And so what's going to restore the balance and bring you to self-respect is being able to say, look, I'm fucking tired, and it's okay for me to be tired, and there's nothing wrong with being tired, and everybody's grace has limits, right? So that's the nature of your relationships. You are the one who's rushing in, protecting, and saving, but you've low-key gotten to a point where you see it as so much of your identity that you're almost ashamed to admit that you need help. But balance is never going to be restored, and self-respect is never going to be gained until you can admit that that's your reality, okay? So now we're going to go into your Mars in Aries. I hope that resonated with you. If so, let me know. Now we're going to look at what needs to be ignited and moved with Mars in Aries. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me, my elevated ancestors. Give us wisdom around what Mars has in Aries has in store for Aisha. What are the areas of life that need to be activated, where she needs to see movement? How will this movement take place? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay, you said yes, so that means it resonated with you. I'm glad that that resonated with you. All right. In the position of where are you being called to take action right now? And I love this energy for you. I absolutely love it. King of Wands. You are called to be an authority in your own life. You are called to stand in your pride and in your charisma, right? This is not a time in your life where you need to be playing small, right? I think, again, going back to the last reading, a huge part of how you show up in service of people is that sometimes you make your own needs and desires smaller. That is not a King of Wands energy. A King of Wands is so confident about what they need that they are going to enroll other people in their vision. They're literally going to instruct people about what they need and how that person not only can help them, but should help them, right? So this is the energy you really need to be in right now. This is the action you're called to, being so confident about who you are and unapologetic in who you are that people want to see you win, right? What is blocking or delaying your action? You are afraid of being interpreted as selfish, right? Here's the thing about the Queen of Wands. Yes, she is the card of emotional confidence. She is the card of emotional worthiness. But insecure people will see her stand in her worthiness and think like, oh, she thinks she all that, or oh, she bougie, right? These are things people say about a Queen of Wands. You are so afraid of being seen as inaccessible or being seen as stuck up or being seen as the know-it-all that it makes you mute your worthiness. And it's not going to be until you stop that and you allow yourself to stand in your emotional confidence and worthiness that you will start to receive different from people in your life and in your experiences, right? Now, what aligned action should you take to move forward now? I love this. I love this. Four swords. This is such a funny card to come up in regards to this question. Let yourself have peace. You borrow a lot of other people's dysfunction. I don't know the other way to say it, right? And with the Four Swords being a card of rest and recovery, and specifically rest and recovery so that you can take on the next battle in your life. Your spirits are saying that the easiest way for you to be able to stand in aligned action and move forward is by focusing on taking care of yourself, focusing on the rest that you need, and focusing on the next battle in your personal life rather than being so distracted by everyone else's battles that you never recover and you never rest. Okay? All right, Aisha, I hope that these readings were helpful for you. It's low-key eerie. And you saw me shuffle, so you know I'm not doing anything weird. Like, it's a little eerie how accurate. I know that second one was accurate. I know that second one was accurate as hell. But yeah, I love that came up and that message was really reiterated for you. All righty. Okay, so we have Nicole. And then we have Sylvia. If there's anyone else after Sylvia that would like a reading, go ahead and send your love offering in now and type which card reading you would like. If you would like a full moon reading or if you would like a Mars and Aries reading. And then once I'm done with Sylvia, I will get to you. But for right now, we're going to go into Nicole. Nicole, since I have the Mars and Aries open, I'm going to start with Mars and Aries with you. I hope that's okay. Nicole, let me know if you're still here, okay? Sisters, angels, ascended masters, spirits of uplifting and elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Nicole need from this Mars and Aries transit? What does Aries have to teach her at this time about action, initiation, and motivation in her life? What messages and lessons will this transit have for her? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay. In terms of where are you being called to take action right now, we have the Queen of Swords. And it's so funny because I know you are a Scorpio, but you are the least Scorpio experience. Like, I don't experience you as like a traditional Scorpio woman. And maybe that's just because you're really sweet with me. I don't know. But the Queen of Swords is coming up because, like, better boundaries, right? And when I talk about better boundaries, I don't necessarily, for you, and the message that comes up with the Queen of Swords in particular around boundaries, it's more about saying what you mean and meaning what you say. Here's the thing. The Queen of Swords is the queen of writing. She's low-key the queen of vocabulary. She is amazing with her words. And even though she's brilliant with her words, the discernment helps her understand when she needs to say it nice and when some people are so hard-headed that they need it nasty, right? You have certain people in your life where you've been saying the same shit to them over and over again. It's time to say it nasty, okay? That is where you are being called to action, right? Queen of Swords knows how to use that sword, and the swords are intellect and communication. She knows how to use her tongue properly. And sometimes people need it a little soft. Sometimes people need it a little rough, right? One of my favorite shows is Interview with the Vampire. And one of the things that Louis said that I always take with me is I'm gonna give you some harsh words and then I'm gonna give you some nice words, right? Some people in your life need some harsh words, but you are handling them with kid gloves. And it's time that you get comfortable with being in your Queen of Swords. Not because you're a bad person, you're a loving person. That's the misconception people have about the Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords is actually very loving, but she loves herself so deeply that she's not going to expend her femininity and her wisdom and her energy by draining herself by having the same conversation with people over and over again. So when she sees that somebody's hard-headed, the hard words got to come out, okay? What is blocking or delaying this action? You care about these people and you want their approval, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? That honor student energy of the Page of Swords, that need for the external validation. They want the gold star, right? And you know that if you say the harsh words to this person, they're probably going to pout and sulk a little bit. And you don't want to be heartbroken by that. But here's the thing. They're never going to learn the lesson, and you're never going to progress beyond this honor student dynamic until you do the thing and say the harsh thing the way it needs to be said. Okay? What aligned action should you take to move forward now? You have to be so tired with the way things are that you are trusting of what the future has, right? That's the thing about Six of Swords, right? I don't know what the future looks like, but I know I don't want no more of this shit. I don't want no more of the Five of Swords. I don't want to keep feeling victimized. I don't want to have the same issue over and over again. So even though I don't know what the shift in strategy is going to bring me to, I'm just going to trust that it's better than what I'm dealing with now, right? And notice we're talking about action. We're talking about Mars. All of your cards are swords. Swords are air, right? So this is the action you need to take is changing your communication, because you have to be so fed up with having the same conversation over and over again, with being stuck in the same space intellectually over and over again, that you are just willing to try something new because anything is better than what you're dealing with. That's your aligned action. Your aligned action has to be one of not waiting for a guarantee, just not wanting any more of what you're dealt with over and over again. Let me know if that makes sense. Now we're going to look at the full moon in Libra for you and look at what is being released with this full moon so that your scales are restored, okay? Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me. What is this full moon in Libra here to illuminate and teach Nicole about the nature of her relationships? What is the full moon in Libra here to illuminate and teach her about the nature of her relationships? How will this wisdom help her bring balance and alignment to her relationships? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. I love that. A card fell out. We're going to get to it after I get through your spread, though. And I already love it for you. Already love that for you. Okay. Where are you out of alignment in your relationships? This is interesting because it's a different card, but a very similar message to what came up with Aisha. You are the miracle worker in a lot of your relationships. You do a lot of the work, right? It's like there are times where you are so wrapped up in bringing magic to other people that you forget to focus on your own magic, right? You are the magic in the lives of a lot of people. Now, that's beautiful. That's beautiful in its orientation, but it's coming up as something that's an issue of alignment in this relationship because you can lose sight of yourself in doing this, right? So again, not bad in terms of what it is in and of itself, but the fact that you do it so much to the point where you lose yourself, that's the issue with alignment. Does that make sense? What truth have you been avoiding or softening? You have been avoiding and softening the fact that even though you are in a blessed position of not having to deal with certain heartbreaks from the past, you haven't really learned from them, right? And what I mean by that is that there are still some behaviors you engage in that allow you or put you in this position to be everyone else's magic that you haven't fully stopped doing, right? Three of Swords is heartbreak meant for maturation, but a lot of times when it comes up in a reading, it means that there's a lesson. Whatever this thing is that caused a heartbreak in the past, you're refusing to learn that lesson, right? So you already have learned through negative experience of being everybody else's magic. But now because you have a positive experience of it, it's like you're telling yourself that it's okay to continue to do it. But Spirit is saying that, just because it's not hurt you right now doesn't mean that you shouldn't reevaluate the behavior, right? What action restores balance and self-respect? It's funny because this card has come up for you before, and I think you're still struggling. Not struggling, I think you still have some work to do around it. You've done enough, baby. You're like 10 of Pentacles, baby. You've done enough. You've already shifted an energy in your bloodline. You've already made an impact. You've already poured into the next generation in a way that is going to empower them. And you've already broken off poor behaviors from the generation before you. So you got to really stand, when they're talking about standing in the aligned action of the 10 of Pentacles, accepting that there really is no more for you to do, right? And I think that's part of the only reason why you keep ending up being the magic for everybody else is because you haven't accepted the fact that you've already done enough and that it's okay to just focus on you 100%. And that's why I said I loved this. And this was even before I saw what the spread was. The star card, hope and faith. You've done enough. And having faith that the world will still be good to you, the ancestors will still shine on you, blessings will still rain on you. and that you don't have to overwork and you don't have to save people and it's okay, right? That's something that you really need to learn to embrace, okay? I hope the Libra full moon really helps you confront all that about your relationships. People are still going to love you. They're still going to fuck with you. You don't have to overwork and overgive for them to still love you, okay? All right, Sylvia, you are next. If there's anyone after Sylvia that would like a reading, go ahead and submit your love offering now, and I will get to you once I'm done with Sylvia. Sylvia, you said you want the Mars in Aries reading. It'll help you set your intentions for the season. I love that. I love that. And that's my hope. That was my hope with this particular reading, is that people would get it so that it sets their intention for Aries season. So let's see. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits who walk with me, and elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Sylvia need with Mars and Aries? What wisdom is Mars and Aries here to teach her about the nature of ambition, activation, and motivation in her life? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Ooh, another really good card fell out. I love that. As always, Nicole, you're very, very welcome. Thank you for trusting me. I appreciate you so much. I want to thank all of you who let me read for you, because here's the thing. Doing divination for another person is an intimate act, period. Allowing somebody to do divination for you on a camera is a whole other level of trust and vulnerability. So I truly appreciate how much you all trust me. I really, really do. Okay. Let's look at, I'm in the wrong one. Hold on. There we go. Mars in Aries. I have so many of these little notes section in my phones. Okay. Where are you being called to take action right now? 10 of Pentacles. There is something in terms of, and I don't want to say generational curses because I feel like that is misused. There's something in terms of a generational lesson that you are responsible for setting the tone with in your bloodline, right? It is something that your elders did not have the tools or the wisdom around, and that the generation after you desperately needs. So you and your peer group, you and your generation are tasked and responsible with bringing this wisdom into the bloodline, into the family, so that it heals something, right? And it could be as simple as a behavior, right? It could be as simple as a lifestyle change. But this Aries transit, this Mars and Aries transit, is really going to reveal the way that this action really heals things and brings generational wealth into your bloodline, okay? What is blocking or delaying you from taking this action? I think there's a part of you that feels too small, right? And the more emotionally confident you are, the more you are rooted in your worthiness. And here's the thing, it can be something small as there's a property you're supposed to own, right? But if you feel like you are not worthy, or it's something that's too much for you, you're gonna run from it, even though that's lightweight, that's light work, right? So the thing that has been blocking and delaying you from taking this action is emotional worthiness. You feel like, why me? Or you feel like this is something that's more suited for somebody else. Here's the thing. If it was for somebody else, it wouldn't be your anointing. So work on your worthiness so that you don't block your anointing. But this is literally the only thing that's causing the delay. Okay? What aligned action should you take to move forward now? And here's the reason why you have the delay, right? Again, with the Queen of Wands being the card of emotional worthiness, sometimes when we struggle with emotional worthiness, we will put ourselves in environments around people who 5 of Wands want to bully us, want to talk us down, want to remind us or project their bullshit and insecurity and limitations onto us, right? So the aligned action that you need to take is you need to stop sitting around hating ass bitches who try to talk limitation into you, because energetically you don't have time for this kind of limitations. You have curses, you have lessons that you're trying to bring into your bloodline, and you need to be in a space of emotional worthiness to do it. And if you're around insecure ass bitches who want to project onto you and who want to knock you down to size and who only bully you and to make you feel smaller and distract you from your anointing, it'll never get done. This is why I loved that the Ace of Wands came out, right? New energy. Once you put yourself in and around new energy, it's going to be easier for you to move and start your new beginnings and accept your new opportunities and take on your new passions, right? But right now, the two things that are holding you back is there's a struggle with worthiness, and that struggle with worthiness is being fed by the fact that you spend time around people who benefit from you. They basically benefit from triggering your issues with worthiness, because the more that they focus on making you feel like you're unworthy, the less that they have to focus on how they don't feel worthy, right? This is on point, absolutely. Okay, good. All right. Grateful to hear that helped you, and hopefully it gave you the wisdom to look out for what you need to learn once Mars does go into Aries. Know that I'm here, and again, I'm nosy, so don't hesitate to send me a text and follow up with me and let me know how this unfolds for you. Okay. I don't see anyone else who has submit and offer. Let me just double check to make sure before I tag out. If there is anyone else that would like a reading, go ahead and send your offering now and I'll get to you. Queen of Wands totally resonates with me. As a shy Pisces, I do struggle with worthiness. The fire in my chart is waking up. Amen. I'm glad to hear that. I hope, do you have a fire rising? Because if so, that'll help you tremendously during this particular point in your life. I hope you have a fire rising. I feel like I've done a natal chart reading for you before, but again, I don't remember. Okay, so I don't see anyone else. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up. I will offer these again on Sunday for anybody who may want this reading, who's either watching this in a replay or who wasn't able to send it tonight. That's totally fine. It'll be available on Sunday. Come back and see. I have a Leo rising. And let me tell you, once after you live through your Saturn return, baby, a Leo rising will bring you up and through your shit, okay? Remember how earlier I said I'm shy and people don't believe it? That's because I have a Leo rising. So you and I need to talk. I'm going to tell you how to work that Leo rising, baby. It's going to open up a lot for you. Shayna. Oh, hi, Shayna. Oh, Shayna, it's so good to see you. I didn't even know you were here tonight. No worries. It's totally fine. So you can get either a Mars and Aries reading or a full moon in Libra reading. Let me know which one you want and I'll go ahead and do it for you, okay? Would you like the full moon in Libra or would you like Mars and Aries? Let me see. Full moon in Libra. Okay, I got you. Perfect. So I don't know if you caught the first part of the live, but this full moon in Libra is really here to help us understand the nature of our relationships, how they are out of balance, how we may be showing up out of balance in our relationships, and what it is we need to restore balance. So this reading is to help restore the scales. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Shayna need about her relationships at this time? How will the full moon in Libra help her with restoring her relationships? What will this full moon reveal to her? What truths and information will it bring into her life? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay. So this is interesting. In the position of card 1, which talks about where are you out of alignment in your relationships, you have some people around you that are they're in false competition with you. And I think the way that you have dealt with it is to just ignore it, right? And that's not helpful. Like, that's causing a lack of alignment in your life. Because here's the thing, ignoring the people who project onto you or who want you to be small because they either feel threatened by you or feel powerful by making other people feel small, that doesn't make them go away. That doesn't minimize the impact. And you don't want to allow it to happen waiting for the big blow up, because it just makes you, victim or vulnerable to something that once it does happen, you're going to be upset because you're like, well, I knew that was going to get away from it, right? The 5 of Wands being the card of the bully. Get away from the people that project onto you or who try to hold you smaller because, God forbid, you shine brightly around them, right? Just go, you've been ignoring it and it's not helping you. It's really not helping you to continue to ignore it, okay? In the position of what truth have you been avoiding or softening? There's a part of you that, even though you are deeply talented and extremely educated, because the 8 of Pentacles is a card of somebody who's very highly trained, very refined in a skill set, right? But it's also a card of imposter syndrome, right? Even though you are highly trained and highly educated, part of the reason why you deal with this dynamic is because there's an imposter syndrome in you that you're fighting and that you're navigating, right? And because the imposter syndrome is there, you accept the negative environment. You accept the projection, right? What action restores balance and self-respect? Low key, getting away from these bully people is more of a nightmare for them than it is for you. And once you fully understand that, that you really don't lose as much as you believe you will by disengaging from these energies, that they actually lose much, much more, it'll be easier for you to disconnect, right? That's the action that's going to restore balance and restore self-respect. Because right now, the nightmare that you're living through in this 9 of Swords is that you're getting to a point where you low-key dread interaction with these energies, with these people, right? But once you remove yourself, they have to deal with the nightmare of not having access to you anymore. So once you can really stand in the aligned action of, and I've been quoting Kanye so much lately, so when you get to the point where you understand that your presence is a present and you take your gifts back from people, spoiled children who don't know how to honor them, that hurts them more, it just really restores balance. And then you don't have to deal with people who are minimizing your contribution and your energy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I hope that helped. I hope that resonated. But yeah, that's what I see the full moon is really going to reveal to you. It's really, you're saying, okay, yeah, okay. Okay, good. I'm glad that was helpful for you. I've never read for you before, Shayna. This was such a treat. Thank you for letting me read for you and for trusting me. Big honor, big honor. All right, everyone. I love you all so much. This was really, really fun tonight. If you haven't already liked the video, please like the video. Please feel free to share this live with people who would like this information. If you came in a little bit later, please go back and watch the replay. I think that the discussion in the beginning where I really talk about the intersection between the full moon in Libra and Mars' transit into Aries is really, really helpful for those of us who are thinking about how to plan and how to really navigate and move through the remainder of our spring. Again, thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I will be back here 7:30 p.m. on Sunday night to do the weekly energy reading. So again, if you want to get any insight into what the first week of April has in store for us, as well as get a reading because you weren't able to get one tonight, make sure you drop by 7:30 p.m. EST on this coming Sunday. Everyone have an amazing evening, and I'll see you all in a couple of days. Good night. Bye, everybody.